Welcome and thank you for standing by. Today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. All participants are in a listen-only mode until the public comment section of today's conference. At that time, you may press star 1 on your phone to make a public comment. I will now turn the call over to Penny Ruvelis. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm Penny Ruvelis, the Associate Deputy Regional Administrator in the NOAA Fisheries West Coast Regional Office in Long Beach, California. NOAA Fisheries is responsible for the stewardship of the nation's ocean resources and marine habitats. We provide vital services for the nation, productive and sustainable fisheries, safe sources of seafood, the recovery and conservation of protected resources, and healthy ecosystems, all backed by sound science and an ecosystem-based approach to management. To achieve this mission, fairness, diversity, and inclusion need to be valued in our work. Our work is more productive and innovative when there is a diversity of skills, ideas, and experiences that reflect the stakeholder communities we serve. On May 23, 2022, NOAA Fisheries published a Notice of Intent to prepare a programmatic environmental impact statement for identification of one or more aquaculture opportunity areas in Southern California. The Notice of Intent started the public scoping process for identifying AOAs in this region, in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. The environmental review process under NEPA provides an opportunity for stakeholders and the public to get involved in a federal agency's decision-making process. The goal of this meeting is to hear from you. This is reserved time for you to help the agency identify issues that should be considered and to provide recommendations. The purpose of public scoping is to assist us in defining the topics that should be addressed in the analyses in the PEIS. We've tried to incorporate answers to some of the questions we've been hearing into our presentation. But in order to maximize the time we have to gather your input, we will not be responding directly to comments today or having a question and answer session. Today's meeting is an opportunity for public and stakeholder feedback on topics that relate to offshore aquaculture, specifically in the area we will describe in Southern California. We will spend about 30 minutes getting familiar with the information, and then we will open the phone lines for your public comment. We look forward to your input and your unique perspectives during this AOA planning process. And now I will hand it over to our Regional Aquaculture Coordinator and Project Lead for the Southern California AOA, Diane Wyndham.
Thank you so much, Penny, and welcome everyone. Just another reminder, I'm Diane Wyndham, the NOAA Fisheries West Coast Regional Aquaculture Coordinator for California, based in our Long Beach office, and I'm also the regional lead for the process to identify aquaculture opportunity areas in Southern California. And as the operator noted at the beginning of the meeting, this meeting is being recorded, and will be part of the administrative record. So if you don't wish to be recorded, you should depart from the call now. As a reminder to everyone, since this meeting is being recorded and will be part of the record for the Environmental Impact Statement, or PEIS, and you do have the option to disconnect if you have any objections to that. This call will be in listen-only mode until we open the queue for comments after the presentation. Transcripts and recordings of this meeting will be available on the Southern California AOA website. You can scan the QR code on the screen with any smartphone camera to go to the website. The URL is also provided below the QR code. Today we will spend a few minutes going over background information on aquaculture in case the industry or the idea of an AOA is new to you. After the background information, we will go over the details related to NEPA that were provided in the Notice of Intent on May 23rd. The purpose of our meeting today is public scoping to provide you with some of the specific information needs that NOAA Fisheries is seeking to help inform the NEPA environmental review for AOAs in Southern California. At the end of the presentation, we will remind you of the dates, times, and ways to provide comments during the public scoping period. You will then be given instructions for getting into the queue to provide oral comments today. There will be a 3-minute limit for oral comments. If offshore marine aquaculture is new to you, there are a few definitions to know. Offshore marine aquaculture is one of many types of aquaculture. It is considered as the cultivation of marine organisms in open ocean waters. In this AOA identification process, it is focused in federal waters of the United States Exclusive Economic Zone, or the EEZ, offshore Southern California. When we say aquaculture, we mean the breeding, growing, and harvesting of aquatic species in a controlled or selected environment. Aquatic species include fish, shellfish, and plants that live in any water environments like ponds, rivers, lakes, or, in this case, the marine environment, the ocean. Any aquaculture operation needs to obtain permits from agencies who are responsible for various authorities that apply to aquaculture and the marine environment. The demand for seafood is growing in the world and in the United States as the population grows. Seafood is a safe, nutritious source of protein for consumers, but wild-caught fisheries alone may not meet the demand. The global level of wild-caught fisheries has been relatively steady for the past 20 years. It is currently estimated that the United States imports 70 to 85% of the seafood we eat, and about half of that seafood comes from aquaculture in other countries. Currently, commercial aquaculture facilities in the U.S. are located on land, such as fish hatcheries, and in coastal or near-shore state waters, such as oyster or abalone farms. There are also some offshore aquaculture facilities located offshore that are research-focused, and just one commercial shellfish farm is permitted in U.S. federal waters offshore of San Pedro. Growing the industry of offshore marine aquaculture could be another way for the U.S. to source its seafood in addition to wild-caught seafood for existing nearshore aquaculture. To give you some background, on May 7th of 2020, the White House issued an executive order on promoting American seafood competitiveness and economic growth. Section 7 of the executive order, entitled Aquaculture Opportunity Areas, requires the Secretary of Commerce to identify geographic areas that contain locations potentially suitable for commercial aquaculture and to complete a NEPA programmatic environmental impact statement for each area. The PEIS will assess the potential impacts of siting aquaculture facilities in an AOA. NOAA selected federal waters in Southern California as one of the first 2 regions for potential AOAs and NEPA review. So what is an AOA? An AOA is considered to be a defined geographic area that has been evaluated to determine its potential suitability for commercial aquaculture. An AOA is a planning initiative only and does not propose any aquaculture facilities or permits. AOAs identified through this process would be considered potentially suitable for finfish, shellfish, macroalgae, or multi-species aquaculture. NOAA Fisheries will use a combination of scientific analysis and public engagement to identify AOAs. As a reminder, an AOA is not an AOA until the PEIS is written and the NEPA analysis is complete. The goal of identifying AOAs is to promote American seafood competitiveness and economic growth while balancing economic opportunity with environmental responsibility, to plan aquaculture in a way that minimizes impacts and reduces user conflicts, to increase safe and secure access to sustainable and nutritious protein, and to support the facilitation of the development of domestic commercial aquaculture consistent with sustaining and conserving marine resources under applicable laws, regulations, and policies. So what's happened since the executive order in May of 2020? Multiple offices within NOAA have been working on the directives from the executive order over the last 2 years. As stated on the previous slide, NOAA selected Southern California as one of the first 2 regions to be analyzed for potential AOAs. The other region, which is going under the same process at the same time as Southern California, is the Gulf of Mexico. A request for information was published in October of 2020 to seek more information from the public for these first two regions, as well as all possible regions in the U.S. that could potentially be selected in the future. At the same time, the National Coastal Center for Coastal Ocean Science, or NCOS, worked with the regional offices in Southern California and the Gulf of Mexico to collect data for a spatial modeling analysis for each region. The spatial analysis process was meant to assist agency decision makers in identifying areas that may be suitable for locating AOAs as mandated by the executive order. The work by NCOS resulted in peer-reviewed technical memorandum published in 2021 entitled An Aquaculture Opportunity Area Atlas for the Southern California Bight. A link to the atlas is available on the Southern California AOA website. The atlas is one source of information to assist NOAA fisheries in identifying AOAs. Through 2021 and winter and spring of 2022, NOAA fisheries used the results in the atlas along with the public input gathered through the request for information and stakeholder engagement to develop the Notice of Intent for the PEIS. With the publication of the Notice of Intent, NOAA Fisheries initiated the NEPA process for AOAs in Southern California. The NEPA public scoping and public comment period on the Notice of Intent continues through July 22nd. NEPA was signed into law on January 1st, 1970. It is a procedural statute intended to ensure federal agencies consider the environmental impacts of their actions in the decision-making process. Using the NEPA process, federal agencies consider both the beneficial or good and adverse or bad potential impacts to the ecological and socioeconomic environment, to natural, cultural, and historic resources, as well as impacts to public health and safety, climate change, environmental justice communities, and cumulative impacts. Agencies are required to invite participation for public review and provide opportunities for public comment on impact evaluations. The first opportunity for public review and comment is during public scoping. Scoping is defined in NEPA as an early and open process involving interested and affected parties to determine the scope of issues for analysis. Scope is defined in NEPA as the range of actions, alternatives, and impacts to be considered in an environmental impact statement. So what is a programmatic EIS? The PEIS is a broad or high-level NEPA document that assesses the impacts of a proposed action. A PEIS is often used when an agency plans new policies or programs that may include actions occurring in the same region, common subject matter and methods of implementation, or if a plan encompasses potential future NEPA assessments that would all have similar impacts but with a narrower scope, such as a project-specific or site-specific assessment. The programmatic analysis may be used to inform NEPA processes for individual projects proposed later in time, and a PEIS can eliminate the repetitive discussions of the same issues. Just like a regular environmental impact statement, a PEIS considers a range of alternatives for the proposed action, including a no-action alternative. It undergoes the same public review process and is shaped by public and stakeholder input. The federal action proposed in the PEIS is that NOAA Fisheries West Coast region would identify one or more locations that may be suitable for multiple offshore aquaculture projects in federal waters of the Southern California Bight and to evaluate the impacts of siting aquaculture in those locations. Shown on the map, the Southern California Bight is considered as the marine space within the U.S. EEZ associated with the coastline between Point Conception and the U.S.-Mexico border and encompassing the Channel Islands. The PEIS will assess geographically discrete areas only within federal waters, so outside of state waters, within the U.S. EEZ that would be suitable to site future aquaculture development. AOAs identified through this process would be considered potentially suitable for finfish, shellfish, macroalgae, or multi-species aquaculture. The proposed action is a long-term planning effort. It is not a regulatory or permitting action. The analysis may be used to inform such processes for individual projects proposed later in time. The purpose of the proposed action is to apply a science-based approach to identify AOAs in federal waters. The proposed action is needed to meet the directives of Executive Order 13921 to address the increasing demand for seafood, facilitate long-term planning for marine aquaculture development, and address interests and concerns regarding offshore marine aquaculture siting. The preliminary alternative area of interest is our next discussion point. The dots shown on the map represent options for where NOAA may identify AOAs off the coast of Southern California. This figure is from the NCOS Aquaculture Atlas. While the marine spatial modeling process in the Atlas included federal waters in the entire Southern California Bight ecoregion, the AOA PEIS will focus on federal waters in the northern and central part of the Bight near the Santa Barbara Channel and Santa Monica Bay. This narrowed down area of interest is thought to have the most potential to be suitable for all types of aquaculture development, including the cultivation of finfish, macroalgae, shellfish, or a combination of species. You can scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner of your screen labeled NCOS SoCal Atlas website to download the atlas. The QR code on the bottom right corner of your screen labeled NOAA Fisheries SoCal AOA website will take you to our regional AOA landing page where a link to the atlas is also provided. While these options and the preliminary area of interest are based on NOAA's stakeholder engagement and the science-based geospatial planning information in the atlas, it does not reflect a decision by any agency to identify specific AOAs. AOAs would be identified only through the NEPA process. The PEIS will consider the following range of alternatives within the area of interest. Alternative 1 is the no-action alternative, in which no AOA would be identified in federal waters offshore of Southern California, even after the PEIS was written. In Alternative 2, NOAA Fisheries would identify one or more AOAs from selected site options in federal waters in the Santa Barbara Channel. In Alternative 3, NOAA Fisheries would identify one or more AOAs from selected site options in federal waters in Santa Monica Bay. And in Alternative 4, NOAA Fisheries would identify one or more AOAs in either or both Santa Monica Bay and the Santa Barbara Channel. Regarding Alternative 2 for the Santa Barbara Channel, there are 8 selected site options in Alternative 2, shown as boxes within the boundaries of the preliminary area of interest in the Santa Barbara Channel. In Alternative 2, NOAA Fisheries would identify at least 1 and up to 8 AOAs from within the boundaries of selected site options. The sites are located between 10.02 and 19.72 kilometers, the equivalent of 5.41 and 10.65 nautical miles, offshore of Santa Barbara and Ventura counties. Alternative 3 for Santa Monica Bay. There are 2 selected site options in Alternative 3, shown as boxes within the boundaries of the preliminary area of interest in Santa Monica Bay. In Alternative 3, NOAA Fisheries would identify at least 1 and up to 2 AOAs from within the boundaries of selected site options. The sites are located between 8.06 and 8.82 kilometers, or the equivalent to 4.35 and 4.76 nautical miles, offshore of Los Angeles County. Again, these alternative descriptions are preliminary and do not reflect any agency decision. Based on input received during public scoping, we may analyze more or fewer alternatives in the draft PEIS. Consistent with Executive Order 13921, NOAA is designated as the lead agency for the proposed action. The West Coast region invited the EPA Region 9, the U.S. Coast Guard District 11, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Los Angeles District to act as a cooperating agency for the purposes of the PEIS. EPA, U.S. Coast Guard, and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have agreed to act as cooperating agencies. We thank these agencies and our other federal partners for their coordination in this planning effort. Regarding the timeline, we will spend this summer in the public scoping period of NEPA. All public comments, written and oral, will be reviewed to develop the PEIS through the remainder of 2022. We expect the draft PEIS to be available to the public on or around fall of 2023. The public scoping period continues through July 22nd. You have had 2 opportunities to submit oral public comment either at this meeting or at our previous meeting held on July 11th. The meeting on July 11th, in June, and this is the July meeting. Sorry for the confusion. You may also submit written public comments on regulations.gov. The QR code and the URL address for regulations.gov is provided on the screen. As a reminder, regulations.gov is maintained on East Coast time. Midnight on the East Coast is 9 p.m. on the West Coast. That means all comments need to be submitted before 8:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on July 22nd. If you have questions on how to comment or access information about AOAs, you can email socalaoa.wcr@noaa.gov. We are maintaining this email address to help with the NEPA process. It is not meant to answer questions specific to the contents of the environmental analysis. Public participation will help shape the AOA planning process. The PEIS will analyze potential impacts to the environment that may occur should projects be proposed in one or more AOAs if identified. Through public scoping, we will identify which topics we should focus on in the environmental analysis of the draft PEIS. We are seeking your local insight related to the proposed planning action, specifically related to the preliminary alternatives, potential impacts associated with pre-construction siting surveys, construction, operations and maintenance, and decommissioning for all types of commercial aquaculture will be considered. Positive and negative impacts will be considered. If you have information on ways to mitigate or decrease negative impacts, we want to know about that too. Ways to mitigate impacts include setting standards for design, construction, or maintenance, monitoring systems and methods, any best management practices that could be applied to offshore commercial aquaculture. Please refer to the Notice of Intent for a full list of prompts that were provided to help stimulate feedback related to local resources. Some of the ecological, historic, or cultural resources we are considering focusing on in the PEIS include wild fish stocks and highly migratory species, protected species and sensitive habitats, wild-caught commercial and recreational fishing, tourism, shipping, navigation, and other offshore ocean uses, and the relationship of these resources to climate change. Some of the socioeconomic connections we are seeking more information about include communities that may be affected by offshore aquaculture development. For example, who makes up the working waterfronts in the region? What are the social, cultural, environmental justice, and public health topics that connect these communities to the offshore preliminary alternative areas? For example, what opportunities or demands may arise? How would access to resources change? We are interested in identifying local community connections to the preliminary alternative areas related to social values, traditions, identities, and experiences. We also want to know about consumer perceptions and local perspectives related to aquaculture projects and seafood. If you have any questions about the NEPA process, how to access these presentation files, or how to submit comments, please email socalaoa.wcr@noaa.gov. You may also refer to the regional AOA website for more information. To maximize the time we have to gather your comments, we will not be responding to comments tonight. This meeting is not a question and answer session. We will be accepting comments on the proposed federal action, preliminary alternatives, potential impacts to resources, and other topics specific to identifying AOAs in Southern California. We will not be accepting comments on individual permit applications or the potential for AOAs in other regions outside of Southern California. And now I will hand it back over to our operator to begin our public comment session.
Thank you. We will now begin our public comment session. If you would like to make a public comment, please press *1 from your phone, unmute your line, and speak your name clearly when prompted. Your name is required to introduce your comment. To withdraw your public comment, press *2. Again, to make a public comment, press *, then 1. One moment as we wait for any comments. Our first public comment comes from Jeff Chester. Your line is open.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can,
yes.
sir.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Jeff Chester. I'm representing the conservation organization Oceana, and I'm a senior scientist and California campaign director. Also previously worked studying aquaculture in many different parts of the world through Seafood Watch in my former profession. Oceana would like to start by talking a bit about Southern California and its ecological importance. It's referred to by many as a blue Serengeti due to the fact that it's a shark nursery area, destination and for foraging animals from throughout the Pacific Ocean, has exquisite deep sea corals and sponge beds throughout the bight, and is really just a haven for migratory species from birds to turtles to whales and migratory fish. So we do question the selection of Southern California as a place for aquaculture opportunity areas. At this point, we are supportive of Alternative 1 and the no action alternative. And we're in particular strongly opposed to potential cultivation of marine fish in the offshore environment based on experience and research throughout the world on offshore finfish aquaculture. We've concluded that there is a major net loss of edible seafood because largely these animals are fed forage species and other feeds that result in a net loss of edible proteins and harmful for food security. So we hope that is analyzed in the PEIS in terms of the overall impacts, particularly related to feed. Oceana has fought hard to protect forage fish and reduce demand from aquaculture for forage species, which are really one of the important bases of the ecosystem that support both capture fisheries as well as healthy ecosystems and wildlife. We're also concerned that aquaculture operations can be extremely harmful to wild fish populations, harming existing fisheries and food security in that way. For example, through the hosting and spreading of diseases and pathogens to wild fish stocks, through escapes and genetic impacts through escaped fish, which we have concluded there is no way to prevent escapes in offshore aquaculture environments despite industry claims. There's also harmful chemicals and antibiotics and those impacts to the ecosystem, as well as habitat alterations. And as I mentioned, Southern California has extremely important habitats, particularly in these areas in the Santa Barbara Channel and in Santa Monica Bay. There are migration routes for sharks, migratory fish, turtles, marine mammals, and foraging areas for blue whales and fin whales are right in these areas as well. So we do strongly question the purpose and need of satisfying demand when there's such risk to existing fisheries and a net loss of food security and edible food production. And we are extremely concerned about potential environmental impacts from offshore aquaculture operations and hope to see those either we request NMFS cease to move forward and just simply adopt a no-action alternative and look for aquaculture opportunity areas elsewhere, or make sure there is a thorough environmental analysis of the effects to the marine ecosystem from all these issues as well. And in particular, the other issue that I wanted to bring up is the fact that many of these operations do attract other fish species and create kind of havens and unnatural ecosystems that attract large sharks, and there are then creating needs for predator controls and impacts to those. So we've seen those in many offshore aquaculture operations, even those that claim to be very sustainable are having to actually kill and harm sharks and birds and stuff and other animals that are trying to predate the fish species and that are attracted by these operations. So for those reasons, we view the risk to the marine environment as too great, and that this is not worth the risk to California's incredible ocean ecosystem off Southern California. So thank you very much, and we're hopefully also planning to provide written comment as well. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chester. And just a reminder for other commenters, we are trying to observe 3 minutes total for your comments, so please try and stick to that, and we'll try and track it as well and can remind you if you're approaching your 3-minute time. Thank you.
As a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press *1 from your phone. Our next public comment comes from Tyler Buckingham. Your line is open.
Good evening. Tyler Buckingham here. I am the producer of the American Shoreline Podcast Network, and I'm hoping to start an aquaculture company in Southern California. And I say that after years of following this and talking to people all over the American shoreline, there's a genuine sense that we can build a sustainable system here. And I have listened to these comments so far in this public forum, which I just applaud to all the people at NOAA who are doing this outstanding work. And I really have noticed that there's a divide, and I would say that I have seen this as well, in the confidence between finfish operations and kelp and mussels and other shellfish operations. And, I think, my vision for the future that I've shared and talked with many people is a diffused access to this industry so that we can really create jobs and do this in a sustainable way and develop new techniques and new technologies to make sure that we're hitting that triple bottom line of sustainability that NOAA talks about. And I just would hope that we understand that no action would hurt the environment because we are currently not operating in a sustainable way. And we just cannot we can simply not say, just do it somewhere else. we have to work on our sustainability, and I'm excited to step into this space, and I hope that this space opens up, and I hope that aquaculture becomes a sustainable industry, particularly in the realm of regenerative shellfish and kelp aquaculture. I will also be submitting a written comment that will no doubt be a little bit more coherent. But thank you all so much for all the work you're doing, and that will conclude my comment.
And as a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Our next public comment comes from Kristen Hislop. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. I am Kristen Hislop. I'm the Senior Director for the Marine Program at the Environmental Defense Center, and we are based in Santa Barbara County and serve the Tri-Counties, so Santa Barbara, Ventura, and San Luis Obispo. And while we were working on written comments, I just wanted to pop in here to bring in a community focus to the scoping meeting. I appreciate the inclusion of the important resources and uses that you went through tonight very briefly. The Santa Barbara Channel is a very busy place with robust commercial and recreational fishing, whale watching, and other recreational uses, a major shipping route, as well as protected species and spaces, such as the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary and National Park, along with many state marine protected areas. The selection of Southern California as one of the first places to conduct this sort of planning for the AOAs was surprising based on the ecological importance of this area that Jeff Chester recently just touched on tonight. And we are concerned that most of the AOAs are concentrated in the Santa Barbara Channel just off the coast of Ventura. We request that the agency move forward with a cautionary approach to kind of that clustered approach to coming up with this new basically new industry offshore in this area. So, of course, there are many factors that will influence the costs and benefits of potential aquaculture projects within those AOAs, from the density of infrastructure to the ability to enforce permit requirements, which we saw as a challenge at with the Catalina Sea Ranch, and to importantly the type of aquaculture that was also discussed. So the last speaker mentioned, there's a difference when we're talking about finfish or algae or shellfish. So obviously all of those factors will be really important as we're discussing actually putting anything in these AOAs or where these AOAs may be. So I look forward to continued discussions on this very important issue, and I thank you for providing the forum for scoping comments tonight.
And as a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press star then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press star then 1. Again, as a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press star then 1 from your phone.
Hey everyone, this is Diane Wyndham again, and I just wanted to let you know we are still here and accepting your comments. It looks like we're not going to be getting any additional comments in the queue, but we are going to keep our lines open until 7 p.m. in case anyone new signs in or if other folks are still preparing their comments. Otherwise, this would conclude our second public scoping meeting for the Notice of Intent to prepare a programmatic environmental impact statement for identification of one or more aquaculture opportunity areas in Southern California. Oral comments may be submitted until 7 p.m. tonight by pressing *1 on your phone to get in the queue. The deadline for written comments is July 22nd. And I believe the operator will continue to check in about every 10 minutes or so with the *1 instructions. So thank you very much for your time and participation, and I do hope we get some additional commenters, but I appreciate everyone that tuned in thus far. Thank you.
As a reminder, to make a public comment, please press *1 from your phone. Again, as a reminder, to make a public comment, please press then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Again, as a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star, then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Again, as a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Again, to make a public comment, please press star then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, if you would like to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Again, as a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star, then 1 from your phone. As a reminder, to make a public comment, please press star 1 from your phone. Again, that's star, then 1 from your phone to make a public comment.
Hello again, everyone. This is Diane Wyndham, and I just wanted to let you know that we're now at the top of the hour, and this concludes this public scoping session. Thank you again for those that remained online this entire time. We appreciate it and appreciate your participation. And thank you to the operator, and I hope everyone has a good evening.
Thank you for your participation in today's conference. You may disconnect at this time.